You're not exhausted because you're weak. You're exhausted because you've been at war with yourself. And that war began the moment you made a silent vow. I will never feel that again. But what if that vow is the very thing keeping you from healing? Let's talk about unconscious vows and how they become spiritual chains that sabotage your freedom, even when your intentions are pure. Some of the deepest strongholds in your life aren't caused by demons. They're caused by decisions you made in pain. Quiet, unspoken decisions. Emotional survival codes you internalized when life felt unsafe. Maybe it sounded like, I'll never trust anyone again. I have to handle everything by myself. If I show weakness, I'll be abandoned. I won't speak unless I'm 100% right. It's better to stay small than be disappointed. I'll be perfect so no one ever rejects me again. These aren't just passing thoughts. They're soul contracts, unspoken agreements you made with yourself to avoid pain. And while they may have protected you for a season, they've imprisoned you for a lifetime. Here's what makes them so dangerous. You don't remember making them. You just feel the weight of them in your body, in your patterns, in your relationships. You feel the anxiety every time someone gets too close, the panic when you're vulnerable, the shame when you rest, the guilt when you ask for help. That's not weakness. That's a vow kicking in. And the enemy doesn't have to attack someone who's already vowed to self-limit. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But I'll take it further. Until you break the inner vow, you will keep calling bondage boundaries. Let me be clear, not all boundaries are born of wisdom. Some are born of fear. Some are trauma responses with lipstick. Some are actually walls dressed up as standards. If you vowed not to feel, not to trust, not to need, not to ask, that's not protection. That's control rooted in pain. And control is the opposite of surrender. Here's the thing. Most vows are made in moments of powerlessness. Something painful happens and your inner child goes, never again. So you create a rule, a vow, to ensure you're never that exposed again. But what starts as self-protection ends up becoming self-sabotage. Because now, anytime life offers you healing in the form of risk, your vow says no. A good relationship appears, but your vow whispers, don't trust it. A door opens, but your vow says stay small, stay safe. God calls you forward, but your vow says it's not safe to be seen. And so you stay stuck. Not because you lack purpose, not because you lack faith, but because you're still living by a code your nervous system wrote when it was drowning. But here's the truth. You are no longer in danger. You are not the child who was abandoned. You are not the teen who was silenced. You are not the adult who had to hustle to survive. You are safe now. You are held. You are loved. And you're allowed to let go of the rules that were written in fear. You see, healing isn't just about processing the pain. It's about renouncing the vow that came with it. You can cry all the tears, journal all the insights, even forgive the people. But if the vow remains, the prison does too. This is where spiritual alignment must meet psychological clarity. Because inner vows are not just beliefs. They are spiritual contracts. And like any contract, they can be broken. But not with more striving, not with willpower, not with self-help, only with truth, only with surrender, only with love. Let me give you an example. You may have made a vow, I will never be needy. Why? Because when you were young, your needs were neglected. So you adapted. If I don't need anything, I won't be disappointed. And maybe it worked for a while. You became hyper-independent, strong, resilient, but also exhausted, bitter. Now, even when love is available, you can't receive it. Even when someone says, I'm here for you, your nervous system flinches because the vow is still running the show. So what do? You bring it to the surface. You name it. You don't judge it. You bless it for how it protected you. Then you break it with prayer, presence, and new agreement. I break the vow that says I can't need anyone. I release the lie that needing makes me weak. I align with the truth that God created me for interdependence, not isolation. I choose vulnerability. I choose trust. I choose love. You speak it out loud with your full heart. And when you do, something in the atmosphere shifts. You feel it in your body. You feel it in your spirit. The loop begins to break. Remember, the vow was never your enemy. It was your protector. But now it's your limiter. It's time to bless it and release it. God is not asking you to pretend the pain didn't happen. He's asking you to stop letting it lead. He's not asking you to throw away your boundaries. He's asking you to realign them with truth, not fear. You're allowed to be seen. You're allowed to need. You're allowed to ask. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to feel joy and still be safe. But first, you must find the vow. You must go back to that internal courtroom where fear made its case and you made your ruling, and you must overturn the verdict. Because what kept you alive may now be killing your destiny. And beloved, you are not what happened to you. You are not your defense mechanisms. You are not your personality test. You are not your emotional armor. You are who God says you are. And He's calling that version of you forward. So let me ask you, what hidden vow is still running your life? And are you ready to let it die so the real you can finally live? Готов продолжить с блока, если хочешь. Также могу предложить название и SEO этого видео.